Imagine a conscious contact with God so strong that no matter what you are doing or not doing, that no matter what your kids are up to or not up to, and that whether you've got the person of your dreams or they're just not cooperating, that you are happy, content, and at peace. A space where everyone else's thoughts, attitudes, and actions are beautiful and exactly as they are supposed to be. Well, this is the space where I like to play. My name is Misha Z, and this is today's Bitch Slap. Join me as I shed light on the thoughts, actions, and attitudes that are causing you pain, and we train our minds to go to the capital S inner self, the joy that is waiting for us, the God within.
When is the best time to record? Now is the best time to record. Going to talk about a few things today. I noticed on a number of episodes, I would just start going at it, and then perhaps you might not know what I was going to talk about, under the vein of tell them what they're going to say it, and then tell them what you said. I honestly don't think there's a right or wrong, because who knows, man? Today, I just don't know. I just had to pause and put my phone on airplane mode because the shiny object was distracting me. I'm a bit obsessive compulsive with my phone right now as I reach out to speakers and such and talked to a new girl. And, looking for that adrenaline pop of the yes. Anyway, so what was I saying? Now's the best time to record. Tell them I'm going to say it, then tell them what I said. No right or wrong. You know what? God bless podcasting, and God bless that letting go of attachment and just saying what's on your mind and being willing to be messy, because having to do it right sometimes is too much work. So I was going to tell you about I was interviewed for a podcast for the first time. Yeah. How exciting is that? And then, so I'm going to tell you about that. And I'm also going to tell you about, where I am with timing, or how am I going to deal with the illusion of time that feels really real right now. The illusion of time is real. So that's what we're going to talk about. So Arlena, who's got the One Day at a Time podcast, invited me to be a guest. And we'd actually talked about it a few months ago, but I was kind of not ready to go on to other people's podcasts yet. And I was very aware of it. I was like, wow, what's up with that? I love talking. Obviously, I've got a podcast. But I was just so insecure about what would I say to somebody? What would I have to offer in a weird way out there in public? I guess it would be more of I didn't want to, look bad perhaps. Yeah, let's be real. That's some of it. The ego was strong. Or just be. Sometimes I think this is it too. Not I think. This is absolutely some of it. Sometimes I have these big, broad, deep metaphysical thoughts, man. And I have these intuitions or these like the reality. And I don't know how to talk about it. So sometimes if I start going deep, I'm like, I feel it, I know it, but I don't know how to talk about it yet. And so there can be some really disjointed, for me, it feels like disjointed thought patterns and things like that. And you might be saying, as you listen, yes, Misha, you do that all the time. Well, what the heck? So anyway, for whatever reason, she reached out again a week or two ago. It was very sweet. Like, hey, we sort of fell off the radar. Let's do an interview. And we were going to swap interviews. So I would interview her. She's very compelling too. Very sweet, thoughtful, engaging, humorous woman, Arlena. I can't remember her last name, but she's got the One Day at a Time podcast, tends to focus on recovery. Obviously, as you know, if you've listened to me before, I'm in recovery and have been for 34 years on May 27th. By the time this episode hits, it will be past May 27th. I will have 35 years, one day at a time, God willing. So obviously I have a lot of content. I don't know what my fear was. I just told you what my fear was. But anyway, I said, you know what? Let's do it. And as a matter of fact, when she reached out to me and said, hey, let's do it. You want to do something in this regard? I was like, yeah. And why don't I go on yours first? I'll do it. And so that was a really cool moment for me to have the willingness to be interviewed on somebody else's podcast, put that fear aside, be willing to put myself out there again on new levels and take those risks. So that went down yesterday, had a lot of fun. I went down some rabbit holes, which I'm good at. I can't wait to hear her opinion. We had to end it right at a certain time because she had another appointment. She had another thing she had to do. And we pushed it up to that very last second. So whatever buffer she had created, we pushed it up to the end of that buffer. So she's like, I got to go, bye, crack. And I haven't talked to her since. So, 24 hours later, I'm like, I think it went good, whatever that means. But it's fun to be in the position of, oh my gosh, because I will be vulnerable. I'll let it rip. Whatever's on my mind, I will go. And places I'll do that, and where my insecurity is where I'm having new thoughts, or I've had new ideas, or I've been trying new behaviors, and I feel like I don't know how to eloquently talk about it, or I don't know if it's right. When I say right, meaning it's like, I think this might be fun to explore. And then I'm like, oops, I was full of crap or whatever, And so I talked about some stuff that I'm like, uh-oh. I don't know if anybody else experiences this, but every 5 years, I'm like, man, whatever I was talking about 5 years ago, I was talking out my ass. And so I was like, gosh, I probably had a lot of those moments. Or my other insecurity is I can be like, man, was I just being self-important? I feel like I can be self-important. Or I notice that as I get new ideas, I assume they're new to everybody. I've talked about this before on other episodes, but it's like oftentimes people are like, duh, Misha, I've been playing in that space for a long time. Welcome to the party. So I think I might have had some of those moments too, where I was being a little bit self-important, or who knows? It's all in good fun. It's all in good fun. I look forward to doing that again. So we'll move on to the other thing I was going to discuss. Timing wise, I should have turned this into 2 episodes. I don't know why I didn't, but I won't, because I suppose I could, but whatever. Clearly, I've had enough coffee. The other thing is, as I'm feeling the time crunch of the summit and needing to interview people, and then, gosh, I've sort of got the invites dialed in, but now as I've done a first summit interview with Anthony Trucks. Thank you, Anthony. Again, that was amazing. I need to systemize the thank yous. So I interviewed him 2 days ago, and I haven't even reached out and said, thank you, Anthony. That was awesome and amazing. It's great content. I'll keep you updated as we press on towards the summit. So I've got to work on all those sorts of follow-up emails and systemizing that thank you reach out content. And I just feel like, oh my gosh, further behind. So as I record an episode like this, or as I do an interviews, or as I do my regular podcast interviews. So last night I was editing up Robert P's interview, which is great. should be out there in my podcast land. I'm turning this into 3 episodes because it's taking a lot of work right now, and I can't. And it actually naturally broke into 3 awesome 30 or 35-minute episodes, so that's cool. Or parts. It's called 3 parts. But I was like, yeah, I can't spend a whole evening editing up podcast interviews. I've got to figure out a better way. And so that can be a who, as I've discussed, but it also can be a how. And I realized that one little really cool inspiration moment is that I can take bits of the summit interviews and turn those into episodes for my podcast. One, to pre-sell the summit and build interest and excitement around it, which is all real, but just a cool little teaser. So Anthony Trucks, for example, we had a great 5 or 10 minute talk before we got to the juicy, serious summit content. And so that 5 or 10 minute bit, I could turn into an episode when I go to edit up the summit interview, his summit interview. So I need to be more efficient with my time as I'm waiting for the who's to drop into my lap. But that was just one idea that I had that I thought was awesome. And I also thought, conversations that I'm having with people, I need to be recording more of them and turning that are naturally happening. I need to turn that into content because it's awesome content, and it could be super fun. And in the guise or the vein of saving time, I'm going to end there. So I told you about my first being interviewed. I got interviewed for a podcast. Yay! And I am working on efficiencies and trying new ways of creating, repurposing content to help maximize my efficiency and deal with the illusion of time that sure does feel real. Love to all. Have a great day.
Thank you for spending time with me today. As someone who is committed to growth and service to this world, I so appreciate your willingness to come with me, go within, and serve our world through change. If you found value in this podcast and you know someone who can use this message, share this episode with them. Share it so our mission can be achieved one episode at a time. And of course, subscribe so you can hear more. And lastly, for more resources on what has helped me on my journey and can help you on yours, go to belove.media/resources. That's BELOVE.media/resources. Thank you again for listening.